So the other day, something very, very strange happened. Grian made a Redstone video. And I gotta say, I was actually incredibly impressed with what he managed to pull off. Now, of course, because this is Grian, the video was to do with traps, because we all know what Grian is like. And Redstone-wise, although occasionally it looked a little bit old school, it all functioned correctly and it did what it was supposed to do, which is the most important thing. However, I thought it'd be fun to take some of the concepts and ideas that Grian came up with in that video and do a little bit of magic with them and try my best to make them a tiny bit more lethal. So let's begin. Now, for this first one, we need to be in Minecraft 1.14 because it involves these lovely things, the scaffolding blocks. How on earth do you place them properly? Wow. In case you can't tell, this is my first time using scaffolding blocks. Anyway, in Grian's video, he created this trap where a player walks up to a diamond block in the middle of the desert. When they break that diamond block, all of the sand falls down to the ground and they get killed by full damage. Now, this is a really cool idea. The only thing that I would say is that it took quite a long time for the sand to fall. So hopefully this idea will make things happen a little bit quicker. I'm having to be so careful because if I break this block, all of this scaffolding comes down. Thankfully, I managed to avoid that happening, but hopefully it should happen now, because if we walk up to this diamond door and break it, we fall to our death incredibly quickly. There's really no reaction time there. There's kind of nothing that you can do about it. You just drop straight through the floor immediately. Right, I've got to try and find this thing, and then I'll show you exactly how it works. And I've got to say, it's actually quite simple. When we break the diamond door, it just breaks that top scaffolding, which then breaks all of the scaffolding connected to it. So it's kind of like breaking the trunk of the tree. All of the branches just drop off, and they all fall down to the bottom, killing us pretty quickly. But what if you wanted to make a much bigger one consisting of multiple scaffolding trees? Well, then it's probably a good idea to build something like this. So here we have the same setup that we had at the start, with the piston breaking this central area of scaffolding blocks. But then this observer is then going to detect the breakage of the scaffolding and send a redstone signal down through this line right here, which is incredibly fast due to the fact that it only involves, I think, 3 observers in total and 3 pistons, so it should only be about 6 redstone ticks, and then that will break these remaining scaffolding trees, destroying all of the remaining scaffolding blocks. Now obviously you could go much bigger than this is just an example, but it should work quite well because you can't actually reach the diamond door from any area on the sand here. And 3, 2, 1, go! So there go our central ones, and then there go the outside ones. Now there is a little bit of a delay because of course we have to wait for all of the scaffolding to break upwards, but it's still, I mean, you're not going to get away from that, are you? Anyway, I think that's this one completed. Let's move on to the next. And if there's one thing that Grian really enjoyed in his traps video, it is pufferfish. He absolutely loved using pufferfish, and I have to say this trap that involved dropping pufferfish down through the ceiling was both entertaining and also pretty deadly. Now, I hear that you got Iskal to help you out with the redstone on this one, and Iskal once again did a very good job, but I still think there's a handful of very small improvements that can be made here. Now, just as a quick heads up, my decoration is not going to be anywhere near on the level of Grian's. I don't think I'm quite ready to make decoration videos just yet. So once again, Grian used an observer to take the output from the wall, and we're going to run that up, and then we need to power this piston, then this piston, and then this piston, and that will move this block out the way over to here, and then push our pufferfish down into the hole. I also thought it would be a good idea to chuck in a slime block to launch the pufferfish downwards. It just seemed like a more exciting way to do it. So this is what I've come up with so far, and I'm hoping that that's not a good start. But I think I've now reached a point where I can actually test this thing out. So if we just fill up this thing with our pufferfish and then give this an update. What on earth just happened there? There were pufferfish. Maybe shooting them at the ground might not be the best of ideas. So let's go back to the drawing board a little bit. And now we have this system, which is really simple, really fast, and really quite compact as well. If we break this block, you can see that everything happens very swiftly, and those guys spread out massively. I did not realize they would actually eject themselves out like that. That's like a scatter bomb of pufferfish. That's very cool. And it's created using 4 pieces of redstone dust, 2 repeaters, 3, maybe 4 pistons, redstone block, and then a handful of furnaces and a slime block. Super simple stuff. Now we're actually going to stay on the topic of pufferfish now, because clearly they're incredibly lethal, and this next trap is absolutely genius. I mean, it's a really smart system in that you've got yourself some form of water elevator, and when the player walks into it, it then retracts back, revealing a whole ton of pufferfish that then get shot up to the top with you, causing you tons upon tons of damage. I mean, this is an incredibly powerful trap, and I think I can tweak it just a tiny bit to make it a little bit more convincing and also a tiny bit more lethal. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to put a block swapper down at the bottom that swaps between magma and soul sand. Therefore, it makes sense that you would have a pressure plate here, because if you just have a pressure plate in front of a soul sand elevator, at least some people are going to get a tiny bit curious. Not me, because I'm stupid. But for the smart people out there, this one's for you. So I think this could all be functioning. So I'm going to try it with just a handful of pufferfish on the inside of all of these dispensers, and we'll see exactly how well it's going to work. Now obviously, because I'm in creative mode, I can use pufferfish spawn eggs. If you were playing in survival, you're obviously going to be using buckets of pufferfish, but it will work exactly the same way. Right, so I think we can all agree that this looks like a pretty regular water elevator. If I saw this on the inside of someone's base, I probably wouldn't think anything of it. But if we pop through into survival mode, and then pop inside this thing, you can see it swaps through, and then, yeah, that has worked a treat. So we got shoved to the top, we got stuck on that block, and we got killed by a pufferfish pretty much instantly. I mean, once again, there's kind of no reaction time here, because you really wouldn't be expecting that to happen. And the best thing about this system is that it's so ridiculously simple. We just have a block swapper down at the bottom, then we've got ourselves a monostable circuit which sends a signal output into these pistons which move the blocks across, and then these dispensers which dispense out the pufferfish, and then we have this piston up at the top which just pushes this block across the top here so that we can't actually fly out of the elevator. All really easy to construct, and look how compact it is. I mean, I'm quite proud of this thing. Now, I've got to say, I really like the idea of trapping these water elevators, and Grian did another design in his video, and we're going to be playing off that as well. But before we do, I thought I would quickly jump in and take a look at a design that I've just recently come up with. So in front of us, we have got a completely normal looking, albeit tiny bit short, water elevator, but this would be totally unsuspecting once again inside someone's base. However, if we walk on the inside of this thing, you can see that quickly things go south very fast. Now the idea is really easy to reconstruct. All you've got is a pressure plate that runs into a monostable circuit once again, and all that does is it pushes these blocks across and then retracts them, getting rid of all of the water inside the system. And then this magma block right here doesn't actually get swapped out for soul sand at all. It just gets grabbed by the pistons and moved across. And that means that we are left with a chamber that drops us straight down into lava. I mean, you really wouldn't see that coming, would you? Anyway, let's move on to the final Grian design of today's video. And funnily enough, it's kind of like the polar opposite of that one right there. The way that it worked is you had a water elevator which shoots you up into lava. There actually wasn't any redstone involved, but I think that we can do something to this to make it just a tiny bit more unsuspecting, I guess you could say. So here we have, once again, a completely unsuspecting water elevator. We do have a pressure plate down at the bottom, and it's been made to look like all it's doing is holding back the water. Then up at the top right here, you may notice that we've actually got ourselves a stair, but you would really have to be looking at this thing to be able to notice that. But what that stair is doing is it's actually putting flowing water into the system, meaning that these aren't magma bubbles. These ones actually are, so you are only going to float up to this point here. Then out the back, we have got a little bit of magic happening. So let me show you how it functions. When the player walks into this completely normal looking elevator, the water will be removed up at the top and lava will be put in its place, and does a very good job at killing the player quickly. And what I find extremely interesting is the fact that the lava doesn't actually turn any of the water blocks underneath it into cobblestone, and I think that might be something to do with the bubbles. Either way, that seems odd. Now this works okay in this example, but in an ideal situation, you'd build it miles up, because not only are you not going to be able to spot that stair in the slightest, but also by the time the player gets there, the lava's going to be there. I mean, it's going to be there, and the player's just going to go straight up into it. So there we go. That is all of the traps that I'm featuring in today's video. I do just want to say, really great work, Grian. You came up with some incredibly interesting concepts. Some of the ones featured in this video I haven't featured in this video, so if you do want to check out Grian's video, then I'd highly suggest checking it out, because it genuinely is really good, and I was really impressed with the redstone that was utilized in there. But I've had a ton of fun with this one. Wait, is my redstone contraption on fire? Oh man, my redstone contraption's on fire. Anyway, I really do hope that you enjoyed. If you did, please sure to that like button. And if you really loved it, then make sure to subscribe. But thanks for watching, guys. This has been Mumbo, and I'm out. I'll see you later.